I think that's all working.
Hey, you come organized.
Well, I just thought last night a lot. Hey, you know, what if the bus hits us tomorrow? You know? So it was really interesting meeting you on the plane. I was just talking to my wife about it, like, you're not going to believe I was next to you on the plane, you know, we had the most amazing conversation. I was just really fascinated to hear you talk about your advocacy, trying to do the right work. So I was wondering if maybe you could give me the quick time tour again of your life. Just to start out a little bit, not to make this a big formal thing, but you told me so much that was so interesting that maybe thought we could do a quick summary. Not that there's probably anything quick about it, but
how are we doing on the mic? 1, 2, 3, 4. You all right?
yeah, it is what it is.
Okay. We'll have a lot of traffic from the street too, you know.
Yeah.
Not much.
Hopefully that should
Be okay?
Yeah.
The last of 11 children, born in Pittsburgh. My father was killed when I was 2. My mother was left with 11 children. I'm the last, the youngest. And we kind of went from middle class to no income for many years.
No, sorry. I think that'd be better.
And so it was unusual way to grow up, but nice. I enjoyed it.
And where did you grow up?
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and my father was killed when I was 2. My godfather, who was 22, 23, was killed in training to be a pilot in World War II in Texas. And my grandfathers both died by the time I was 5, I think. So I just had my mom, and she was very quiet, kind of saintly, Catholic, Irish, very Irish. And she had come from coal mines, as my father had. And they moved to Pittsburgh from the coal mines of eastern Pennsylvania, where all my grandparents and uncles and so on all worked in the mines of the eastern coal, anthracite coal, deep shaft coal. And my father moved to steel in Pittsburgh. As a young guy, they made him an intern as a metallurgist. By the time he died at 40 or 41 or whatever he was the head of the steel mill and helped invent a bullet that was used in Stalingrad. But he told my mom we wouldn't have to ever worry because he had the patent and he was the head of the mill. And Pittsburgh was going into World War II. We produced, Pittsburgh alone produced 3/4 of the world's steel from 1938 to 1945. So he was sitting on top of the pile and had succeeded out of the coal mines and became the head of a steel mill. But he was killed and everything fell apart. And so that's sort of what happened. I got in trouble as a teenager, as teenagers do, and my mother noticed that I failed everything in my sophomore year in high school, including gym. And she said, you're either going to prison or reform school, military school, or the seminary. So I took the seminary. I became a Franciscan priest eventually. I was there 16, 17 years. Got my BA and my MA. I was in Washington when Dr. King started organizing the March on Washington. Many of us seminarians pitched in, as did the Protestant and Jewish faith. So we helped that. I saw the march. I saw Dr. King's speech. And we lobbied for the Civil Rights passage in '64, same seminarians. And I was a chaplain, appointed as a chaplain to a state school, Western Maryland. And I noticed there were 4 blacks in the school, 2 were from the Caribbean. I went to see them. So two black kids in a Maryland state school in 1967 or 68. So I called for a big conference against the school, against that. So within a year, they had recruitment of blacks, or an office for minority recruitment, I guess it would be called. So I integrated the school pretty easily, actually. What I kept seeing was it basically easy to do good things. Not only trained by my mother to be that way, but it's easy. When I was at the bottom of the wading pool in the early part of the day when King gave his great speech, I saw Jesse Jackson and Andy Young. I'm at this time, what would I be? I'd be about 24. I realized these guys were roughly the same age as me. So why I ain't doing what they're doing, I should be doing what they're doing. It's sort of like kind of a wake-up call by age. My mother had said to me when I was a kid, I was about 14, said, Mom, when will I be a man? She kept bugging me about this. And she finally said to me, she said, Jackie, when you learn to walk the highways and byways of life, and you learn to listen to the weeping and the wailing of the poor, and then and only then you'll be a man. So I always took that to heart. I thought that was typical of my mother, but I thought that's right. And I thought that was right of our church should be that way too. So I was a liberation theologian, essentially believes the church is as good as its connection to the poor. My attitude, Vatican II comes along, I'm inspired by that. Anyway, I see that we're going to lose. Conservatives are going to win. Between that, being bored, I didn't like hearing confessions. I wasn't against it, but I didn't like it. And I didn't like it. I didn't want to teach catechism. So I got bored, basically, with the priesthood. I'm still Catholic, and I go to Mass and everything. But it's not what I wanted to do. It just wasn't what I wanted to do. So my first job, I went 9 months unemployed. It was a hard time. I had no money. I walk into a job, what do you do? Oh, nothing. Did you ever run? Nothing. Did you ever administrate anything? Nothing. Anyway, I end up with a job nobody else wanted. And what I did was nationalize the walkathon in the United States. I did 350 of them within the next 4 years. We raised $15 billion for World Hunger. It was a national phenomenon. After that, I talked to Dick Gregory. Didn't have to talk to him much about it. We did it together to run across the United States for World Hunger. And he did. We ran from LA to New York. We tried to steal the bicentennial of the United States in '76. Kind of worked. And I recruited. He called, said, Jack, you have to go recruit Muhammad Ali. I did. I actually got him to join us. Worked. And he spoke on the mic after one of the fights. Went worldwide. Again, it was easy. Everything I'm doing is feeling good. ain't making anything, but I'm not happy about that because, or I'm not unhappy about not making money because I'm doing good and I'm listening to Weeping Valley of the Poor. You know. And I like my life. I enjoy myself. Had a lot of nice friends. So I went to a meeting for Dick Gregory on world hunger. Chip Carter from President's Son was holding the meeting. Harry Chapin was there. I don't know who else. And the head of Action I had known from the anti-war movement because I'd participated in that for 10 years or something. As a minimal person, not an important person. But there. I knew him, and Carter appointed him the head of Action, and Peace Corps was within that. So I knew what I wanted. He wanted me to join the bureaucracy in D.C. I wouldn't do that. I said I want Lesotho. And I wanted Lesotho because it was in the belly of the beast, the apartheid beast. I knew I could join. I knew I could do a lot of good there. Take a lot of risk, but this is great. So I was continuing the civil rights movement, except on a global basis. So I was appointed Peace Corps director in Lesotho, and I did my job, you know, work time with the Peace Corps, and the kids were great. But on my off time, I supported the African National Congress. My neighbor was Chris Hani, the military leader, the African National Congress. I knew most of the activists for Mandela. So I started participating in the anti-apartheid movement. I fired a guy, a Lesotho. He sued me, which I was glad, because then I could hire the lawyers I wanted to defend me. And Peace Corps had to pay them, so I hired the ANC lawyers. And here are these communists working for the United States. So I did that for 4 or 5 years. We doing okay? Am I getting through this okay?
You're doing great.
Oh, good, okay. So I had to hire lawyers. In the British system, you have to have a lawyer and a barrister. The local guy was an ANC lawyer who couldn't go into South Africa because he was being hunted to be killed, you know, because he was an activist.